America, welcome back to the Court of Common Sense. Turn off the progressive rewrite of history. For just 7 minutes today, we are going to deconstruct the single biggest lie pushed by the centralized administrative state over the last half-century. The left-wing media has spent decades conditioning the American consumer to believe that the anti-communist movements of the 1940s and 50s were nothing more than a paranoid, irrational witch hunt. They wanted you to accept the narrative that internal subversion was a myth invented by political opportunists. But history does not operate on media feelings. It operates on raw, declassified facts. Communism in the mid-20th century was not a harmless academic theory debated in university lounges. It was an active, weaponized, hostile intelligence operation engineered to dismantle this free republic from the inside out. And today, the timeline is finally waking up to the truth. Look at the undeniable intelligence data. In 1943, under the deep shadows of World War II, a top-secret military program code named the Venona Project was quietly initiated by the U.S. Army Signal Intelligence Service. The Soviets were utilizing one-time pads, an encryption method that is mathematically unbreakable if executed correctly. But the socialist system always breeds failure, even in its factories. A manufacturing plant near Moscow accidentally duplicated thousands of these encryption pages. Enter the ultimate unsung American hero of the Cold War, a brilliant, quiet former linguistics professor named Meredith Gardner. Working in absolute obscurity at Arlington Hall, Virginia, Gardner spent years meticulously tracking microscopic, repeated patterns in the data. In 1946, through pure merit and intellectual grit, Gardner did what the world deemed impossible. He cracked the Soviet code. He opened a direct, unredacted window into the secret telegraphic cables passing between Soviet handlers and American traitors. Gardner's code-breaking triggered a devastating domino effect that shattered the Soviet atomic spy ring block by block. In 1949, he decrypted a 1944 KGB cable, exposing a high-level espionage ring in New York operating under the codename Antenna, later changed to Liberal. The file noted this asset's wife was named Ethel. The data didn't lie. Venona exposed Klaus Fuchs, a top-tier British physicist working inside the super-secret Manhattan Project, who was feeding nuclear secrets to Moscow. The FBI squeezed Fuchs, who pointed to his courier, Harry Gold. Gold led them straight to David Greenglass, an Army machinist stationed at Los Alamos, who was actively stealing actual mechanical diagrams of the atomic bomb. Greenglass was Ethel Rosenberg's younger brother. He confessed his brother-in-law, Julius Rosenberg, was the operational ringleader. For decades, the progressive establishment wept over the Rosenbergs' 1953 execution, painting them as innocent victims of a ruthless state. But when the National Security Agency finally turned on the lights and declassified the Venona files in July 1995, that smokescreen collapsed permanently. Julius was liberal. He was a committed communist asset who handed the blueprint of the atomic bomb to a hostile tyranny. But the rot went far deeper than Los Alamos. Venona didn't just catch field spies. It caught the elite architects of the modern regulatory state. The decrypted cables exposed Alger, a golden boy of the globalist establishment, a high-ranking State Department official who literally helped organize the United Nations and stood right behind FDR at the Yalta Conference. The left defended Hiss for a generation, but Venona proved he was a dedicated Soviet agent codenamed Alesh. Step over to the Treasury Department, where Venona unmasked Harry Dexter White, the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. White was the primary American architect of the Bretton Woods Conference, which shaped the entire post-war global economic system. Venona proved that while he was drafting international financial policy for the United States, he was actively passing highly classified economic intelligence to Soviet handlers. This is the reality of the centralized state folks. The very people building the bloated, top-down federal bureaucracy were, in fact, working to subvert the constitutional framework of a free market. This brings us directly to the name the establishment desperately wants to keep buried, Senator Joe McCarthy. Turn on social media today, and you will see a massive resurgence of everyday citizens bringing up his name with fresh eyes. Why? Because the data has vindicated his core warning that McCarthy didn't have access to the Venona Project. President Eisenhower and military intelligence kept it completely hidden, even from the Senate. to protect our code-breaking capabilities. McCarthy was forced to fly blind, relying on insider tips, raw inference, and leaked loyalty boards. The media mocked him, the Senate censured him, and the establishment destroyed his career. But when the vault was open, it proved that the fundamental assertion McCarthy made was factually correct. A sophisticated, top-down network of Soviet agents was actively working inside our federal institutions. He may have gotten individual numbers wrong, but on the structural threat of infiltration, he was dead right. Think about the profound small government lesson sitting right in front of us today. The regulatory state didn't hide the Venona files for 50 years to protect national security. They hid them to protect their own policy failures. They hid them to shield a preferred ideological narrative from public oversight. They allowed hostile actors to operate inside our defense labs and financial institutions while telling the American consumer to sit down, stay comfortable, and trust the experts. Sound familiar? It is the exact same playbook we see deployed by the Democrat and their socialist allies on a timeline today. When you allow a socialist Democrat to operate in absolute darkness, you destroy a fair playing field and erase public confidence. True American exceptionalism and its values require decentralized power, object transparency, and a federal apparatus that is strictly subject to the rule of law. The courtroom of common sense is closed, and the evidence is written in black and white. We don't start the fights, but we permanently finish them. Turn on the lights. Judgment. History has cleared the facts. The liberals lied, McCarthy was right, and Venona holds the truth. That is it for today, folks, and as always, like and subscribe and follow. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless the United States.